Thank you for coming to the room. My name is Kuzumi Sako from NEC. I will be moderating this session. Although we had 2 hours planned session, it was shortened to 90 minutes, so I'll try to make the presentation short and we'll have enough time for lunch. Okay, and also I'd like to thank the organizers for hosting this wonderful event. When we first heard that this MyData event is coming, we are so eager to come and speak up our voice. Because although we are in a far east island, there were a group of us, a considerable amount of us who was working on this MyData perspective for a long time. And then, so we spoke up to run a session here, and then there's a group of people from Silicon Valley who had the same idea. So we now have a joint session here titled Global Wind from Japan to Silicon Valley. And we had a nice lunch together, a nice dinner together, so it's going to be a great session. Okay, so I just wanted to briefly give you what was going on in Japan for these 3 years. Back in 2013, we had 3 groups working on this. Do I need a mic? I guess everybody hears me.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So back in 2013, we had 3 groups working on this MyData perspectives. And then the first one is called Information Bank Consortium, run by Professor Shibasaki here and Professor Sunahara in the back. And that has the idea, what happens if there is a bank of information where the bank holds your precious information securely, and under your permission, use that data to create value and return interest to you, like a bank does for your money and give you an interest. So that is an Information Bank Consortium. And there's another group called Distributed Big Data Consortium run by Professor Hashira in the room. And he said that now the companies are collecting all our personal data and claiming it big data. But what happens if those data are not collected by the big companies but distributed, and each of us has the control? Then it will be nice to have that kind of world, and that was organized under this Distributed Big Data Consortium. And there is another group called Council on Competitiveness Japan, and they were working on open data, personal data, and how should the privacy treat it. So there were 3 groups again, and today what happened was that why not we work all together? So now we have all of us who's presenting in this session under this Council of Competitiveness Nippon, and we are trying to achieve both privacy and innovation in the age of IoT. And here is the place we consider how the personal data should be done, or how can we aggregate our data to create value, and of course privacy, achieve privacy. Okay, so for the first hour of this session will be presenters from Japan, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of us. And it will begin with Professor Nakagawa, who will be talking about anonymization of personal data, followed by Professor Ikegai, who is going to talk legal aspects. And then Professor Hashida, I forgot to mention, but he is also the organizer of this session, will be talking about personal data store. And then Mr. Ishigaki and Mr. Shimono will talk about social implementation and how that is actually planned to be implemented in social life. And then Professor Shibasaki will talk about the information bank idea. And then we'll hand it over to Hans Martin and Andreas, and they will talk about winds from Silicon Valley. Okay, we need to be rushed, so please, I will change the mic to Professor Nakagawa.
Okay, I'm Hiroshi Nakagawa from the University of Tokyo, and I talk the first part of this topic, institution. institutional issues and stigmatization. So as you already know, the EU GDPR is finally agreed last year. And in Japan, Personal Information Protection Act is revised, agreed in GDPR this year. And in Japan, the Personal Information Protection Act is revised last year, September. So that act introduces the new concept of anonymized personal information, and which is the information anonymized enough not to be anonymized easily and to be used without the consent of data subject. It means that it can be transferred to the third parties. So the issue here is borderline between pseudonymized data and anonymized data, and it is actually a critical issue. So let me say something about pseudonymization. Okay, this is a pseudonymized information that the same person's weight of every day. Okay, the pseudonym is the same, but we can update pseudonym. For instance, here the same pseudonym, but update this pseudonym, and so on and so forth. And we can update more frequently, and finally, every data has distinct pseudonym. But this is the same as no pseudonym. So this is called sometimes called obscurity. So the question here is that the pseudonymization with updating is or is not anonymized personal information of new Japanese PIP Act. The pseudonymization without updating or accumulated time sequence of personal data is very dangerous, because if it is accumulated, the accumulation of data of some person makes the data subject easy identified. Then I think it's feasible to prohibit it to transfer the third party. So the Personal Information Protection Act sentence reads: pseudonymized personal data without updating is not anonymized personal information. On the contrary, obscurity in which every data of the same person has distinct pseudonyms certainly is anonymized personal information, as I said. So there is boundary between non-anonymized information, anonymized personal information, and anonymized personal information. Here, the non-AIP, and here, AIP. The problem is how to find this borderline between no-API and API. But it's the program is yet to be solved, and we have to think about in the future. So the continuously observed personal data has high value, especially in medicine. Frequently updating pseudonym enhances anonymity but reduces its data value, especially in medicine. But last year I heard from my friend physician that physicians don't require no update of pseudonym. For instance, it seems to be enough to keep the same pseudonym for one illness. Okay, this is general picture of updating frequency and data value. For instance, the medical record, if we update, the data value rapidly decreasing and then. But location record, or driving record, or purchasing record, the data value is gradually degrading if we updating with more and more frequently. So I summarize in this table that category of data and the frequency of pseudonym updating and how to use it. But we have very time is very short, so I skip this slide, and you can see this slide, the download infrastructure. Finally, this is a summary. As stated so far, almost all streamlined data are for statistical processing, as you know. So, no targeted advertisement or profiling of individual person. And the question I have is running the classifier by means of the machine learning from the profile only with consented data, and use it to targeted advertisement to new user. It's technically possible, but legally I don't know it's a good way or a bad way. So another issue here is pseudonymized data are hard to trace if it is transferred to many organizations such as many IT companies. The trace is very important issue, but the pseudonymization really makes it hard. So that's it.
Thank you
I
very
pass
much.
it to the Ikegai-san.
Well, we changed the slides. If there's any comments from the floor? And just for housekeeping, remember this is free I/O, and you can put your comments and questions there. If not, we'll move on to the next speaker.
Thank you very much. This is Naoto Ikegai. I'm measuring comparative legal study on the personal data protection law in EU, US, and Japan. So, as a background information, I will shortly explain about the legal framework of Japan related to data protection law in Japan. Firstly, in Japan, Personal Information Protection Act came into force in 2005, and the basic structure is very similar to the EU Data Protection Directive because strongly affected by EU. And obligation of data controller is but to make it simple, firstly, to specify and notify purpose of use at the time of acquisition of personal data, and to obtain prior consent to change purpose authorized to some country. Security, activity, and handling complaints is of course included. And right of data subject is mainly divided into three categories. Firstly, right to access, and correct, and delete. But what is problem is until now there is no adequate level of protection third-party decision under the EU Data Protection Directive. Of course, it equals GDPR. EU Directive and GDPR prohibits the third-party country transfer in principle without adequate level of data protection decision. So, measure to transfer GDPR data to Japan is limited to three options. First, standard contractual clause, the binding rules, and explicit consent. The CCR, VCR is very costly, especially for the small and medium-sized company. I expect that MyData PDS personal data system will help it because the MyData ecosystem make it smooth and empower the individual consent. And to catch up the recent political development and to harmonize the Japanese law to the EU one, gradually Japanese government started to amend the personal data protection law from 2005 to 2015. Firstly, the point includes law. First, clear definition of personal information, biometric data, and certain types of unique ID, persistent IDs clearly defined as personal information. And the concept of sensitive data was introduced in Japanese law. It includes before future history. They cannot be obtained without prior content of data subject. And the cross-border transfer provision also introduced. Transfer of personal data to a foreign state must be based on your consent. And adequate level of protection for step certification mechanism is also included. And this is very similar to EU1. And extraterritorial application is broadened. And traceability is introduced. The controller must keep record of production shifted loss. And utilization, and finally, this is closely related to Dr. Nakagawa explains. The identified data can be, so anonymized data can be used without consent under certain conditions, including contractual provision of data re-identification. And detailed technical standards will be defined soon for regulatory procedure, especially DTA, between DTA and certified industrial group. And finally, the biggest change of this amendment is the establishment of independent DPA. Until recently, there is no independent DPA in Japan. But the structure is a little bit different from EU1. Because the Japanese independent DPA mainly supervises the private sector's data processing. And insteadly, for the public sector, Minister for Internal Affairs Communications supervises government and administrative agencies. But independent DPA can supervise the activities of the Minister for Internal Affairs and Communications. It's all. Thank you very much.
So if Professor Ikegai please stay, there are two questions from the floor. I'll take the first one. How is the right to access, control, and delete enabled in practice? And how do companies apply?
Yes. Yes.
Anyone from the audience ask the question?
Possibly, the subject requires a company. It's a company because it's data protection independent DPA orders to make it request clearly realized. The order is approved by the administrative penalty free.
Does that answer the question? Okay. And then the second question is, how is cross-border transfer avoided in times of cloud service? That's the answer.
Actually, no solution was provided so far. So the companies put the cloud in the EU or other countries to avoid the legal issues.
Okay. Thank you so much. And we're ready for Professor Hashida to give us talk on personal data store.
Where is decentralized personal data store? Because there are rather many PDS that are centralized. There are much needs to share personal data because it's good for improved quality of services in many different domains like healthcare, food, and so on and so forth. And this is what we have done so far in order to implement. So we have been preparing this kind of centralized system to store and manage many people's personal data in order to support that sort of data sharing. But this approach is very costly and it is dangerous. It creates a huge risk of bulky information leakage. And although there may be other similar systems like this, it's quite difficult for these similar systems to collaborate with each other in a direct fashion. So a solution to this would be to enable each person to manage his or her own data and support and enable them to share their data with for the necessary purposes. And this is good because it resolves all these problems that arise in the centralized approach. So, and in addition, this is an efficient way to use big data because since personal data is owned by, managed by the data subject individuals, it's easy for big data users also. This is So the big data user is able to collect big data, which may not be so big, and they don't have to store and collect too many people's data, which they may not be using in the future. And since they can collect data only when necessary, and also they can keep a nice result and erase the other part of data, so that they can enjoy minimum collection and the maximum access to personal data. So this is the mechanism to implement all this. This is called PLR, and personal applied repository, which is client-side mechanism for implementing PDS. So you are using your cell phones and PCs, and you're running these kind of software in there, and you share the data with others through clouds like Google Drive, and so on and so forth. And you encrypt your data at least on the cloud, so that cloud service operators don't know the content of the data. And this is sustainable just by software maintenance, because they don't need any dedicated server. And this is very secure because it is decentralized, and there are very, very tight authentication, and it can use so-called DRM, digitalized management, because the data is encrypted, and the applications, the access to data is limited in terms of the variety and also in terms of the function, because those applications do not have any function to store or transmit the decrypted data. And it's easy to use because you don't have to manipulate your device all the time. If once you set up the sharing authentication, then you don't have to do anything after that. And if you don't do anything, that your data is shared between the business operators you want to share the data. And the mechanisms are quite simple and versatile because it's client-side PDS. There's no dedicated server necessary, though you can use some dedicated server, of course. And it is very inexpensive in terms of deployment operation. In particular, operation cost is independent of the number of users because it doesn't have any dedicated servers. And PLR can coordinate with server-side PDS, of course. And even if it is difficult for you to coordinate server-side PDS with each other, it's possible for you to use PLR to coordinate with different server-side PDS in order to indirectly coordinate these PDS. And also, PLR can manage many people's data, not just your data, but can be used in the corporate services, and they can do ad hoc data collection, like I stated several slides ago. So this is demo picture, and here is PLR Cloud, which is actually a collection of many different cloud services, and maybe some of these are server-side PDS. And the individual users are using probably cell phones and PCs, and the PLR manager is the main part of PLR, which is in charge of communication and encryption, decryption of your data. And also, corporate users can use PLR manager running in their probably very huge servers. But the software architecture in here and in there are exactly the same. Okay, right? If this guy is a big data user and they want to collect big data from many individuals, it's possible in this particular. In this particular setting, and if you simplify the picture, then it looks like this. So the big data collector is using PLR as well, hosting many people's data, and individual people can disclose the data responding to the request of that from the big data collection, like I mentioned earlier. And this implements customer-centered services. In order to do that, you can use this PLR dashboard, in which you can define this group for improving your health, and you can register members who disclose their data to this group, and there are the same sort of members who can access the same amount of data. And okay. And we have implemented some concrete service providing applications on it. This is a care record application based on PLR, which has been applied to more than 70 elderly people. And out of these 70, just two, just people, the data of just two people are owned and managed by the family members like this. But although this is a very small operation involving 2 or 70 or so people, this is a decentralized system, so it's simply extensible to billions of people as it is. This is another business. I will save this, and this is the final slide. In summary, decentralized data management is inexpensive and much more secure and more flexible than centralized management in terms of sharing data among stakeholders, including individuals and vendors. And PLR is our software. It stands for Personalized Repository, which is a client-side PDS for decentralized data management, which is very inexpensive in terms of deployment and operation. And it is for both individual and corporate users in operating healthcare service quality. And it can use server-side PDS as part of PLR. So let's collaborate on that. Thank you very much.
Some computers, and please continue. And while that, we have a bunch of questions on how this PLR works. And where would this data be stored in this decentralized world? And then the answer was in the slides. That's going to be encrypted and stored in Dropbox and Google.
Yeah, so the data is physical, maybe physically centralized, but logically decentralized in terms of access right.
Okay, and then comes this question. PLR seems to be distributed into many places, but isn't that inconvenient to handle their different interfaces and apps?
Well, apps are common for many PLR users. Did I answer your question?
Does that answer whoever's question is? So I think we need to make API standardized so that it will make it easier. And the last question, where is the private key stored? For individuals, it's data encryption.
Yeah, we are using so-called password-based encryption. So that the seed is stored locally and on the cloud as well.
And how does the key recovery work if they lost their passwords and stuff? Or the device?
Well, you can use a device and recover your password because the seed is on the cloud. But if you forget your password, then there's nothing to do.
Okay.
I'm sorry because I misplaced the question that I had.
Okay.
The question is more fundamental. You make an architectural decision by storing the data. Well, this data essentially comes from an institution or a party or. Why would you store the data if you can say, well, this company can have my information, I give them consent to have my information. So why do you make a decision to store the data where it is already available?
That's an option, not decision.
It's also okay.
You can store your data on the cloud, but you can leave your data on the vendor.
Okay.
So that's possible too.
Okay.
So can I ask you a question?
Quick one, please.
Yeah, very good. So from what I understood is that you said that individuals could onboard this and forget it. Yeah, so they do it once and they forget it.
Yeah.
How do you onboard them if they're not going to engage with it?
You can ask your family member, for instance.
No, but how are you going to get people to onboard if they're not going to engage? You've only talked about elders, but what about the younger people?
So the example mentioned is hospital and clinic. So they can access to your cloud. And they upload their data on your cloud and share their data with each other without your intervention after the initial setting.
Okay, maybe we can take this offline. Thanks for your question. And maybe this answers part of your question because now he's going to talk about social implementation of PDS and how to make people engage in this. Please.
Thank you, Seko-san. My English is very bad. Recitation. Today, I and Mr. Shimono will talk about on the theme, a challenge was social implementation of PDS using open source software, Elsonia. In this presentation, we use the term PDS as a social infrastructure which enables human-centric data circulation. Our talk consists of two parts. Part one, I will talk about our social implementation project. And part two, Mr. Shimono will talk about open source software, Elsonia. We think there are three important aspects on social implementation of PDS: technical, social, and business. In technical aspects, we think there are many desirable matters to be realized, including comprehensive policy description, hassle-free and secure authentication, risk estimation for each disclosures, and practical self-information control mechanism for low IT literacy users. In social aspect, we need to change public consciousness about personal data from privacy to be protected to asset to be utilized. And in business aspect, we need self-sustainable business model of PDS platform during the period when the data is small. This is the overview of our project. We use the PDS in extension of open source PDS named Elsonia. We use a use case called Sustainable Healthcare Project, which is under consideration in Tokyo suburb. Business model based on Living Lab with PDS platform. This is our PDS model. PDS is centralized type with self-information control mechanism and third-party access control mechanism. Each data request or proposal from third-party data requesting organization appears in one's personal data marketplace and approved or refused by each individual based on the following condition and its benefits. These are the basic requirements of our PDS to be implemented. Secure and safe data store, visualization of data contents and usage history, consent-based data disclosure with social replication mechanism and diversion mechanism of decisions by trusted people and groups. This is the lab configuration of our PDS. PDS is implemented by adding self-information control functions and third-party access control function to existing personal data management system for organization. We are trying to specify platform-independent high-level APIs by COCN social implementation task force members. And then we plan to implement these APIs to Personia. This is our use case. It is called Sustainable Healthcare Project, which is under consideration promoted by Industry Municipality Partnership in Tokyo Suburb. The aim of the project is promoting citizens in healthcare activities using gamification approach and develop local industries using collected data under permission. Our goal of the project is to familiarize the concept of PDS to citizens and raise consciousness about personal data. My last slide. This is our assumed business model. We are considering establish living lab for verification of prototype services using PDS platform. Operation cost of PDS is covered by company's entry fee or usage fee of living lab. Citizens participating in this living lab will be served as a good role model and influence other citizens by contributing their data and receiving rewards in exchange. Thank you.
We will continue on to the next speaker.
Hi, my name is Akio Shimono. From this point on, I'm going to talk about Personia. This is open source PDS software I and my teammates develops. Coming here, I got to know lots of PDS implementations like Cozy, Freedom, Box, and Hat, Meko. And especially after hearing the presentation of Cozy, I really felt lots of sympathy because we are, I think I got an impression that we are sharing similar goal and value proposition and etc. Personia. And currently, it's only developed by our team in Fujitsu, but we are aiming for open and neutral project management. The software and document tools and everything is published under Apache 2.0 license. So anybody who's interested can use, modify, or whatever for business or whatever purpose. It's in a very relaxed manner. The name Personium comes from persona and ion to sound like an atom. We chose the word persona because it's PDS, and ion part to sound like an atom name. Atom bonds to each other to form a molecule or sometimes a polymer, like this picture on the left. Sorry. Just like people get together and form a community or a big society. So with this name, Personium, we envision the world where lots of PDS connected to each other in accordance with their own social relationship and supports whole society, human society. Let me talk a little bit more about our vision. The diagram on the left describes the current ICT, and right is the future. Basically, it's the same as MyData. I think it's better than I did. And a little ambitious part about us is the fact I'm saying every data subject on Earth. This is one of the reasons why it's attached to open licenses. And did you notice it says everyone/everything. And I'm using the word data subject here. It's because in Personia, PDS is me or my part. It's extended a little. We think a data subject does not necessarily mean a person with IT literacy. For example, this is my son, 8 years ago. Now he's 8. And can he be a data subject? He'll be maybe in 10 years. He'll surely be a data subject. But what about this picture? Where does this picture data to be attributed? And next, this is dog. I don't have any pet, but let's say this pet's vaccination history. Where does this data to be stored? This is my car. Where does the I don't know oil change history or whatever should be attributed? This is what the picture I took on the whole. This is community. Where does this data or the screen IO's questions and answers should be attributed? I think these can all be data subjects. And active or passive. Okay. And another vision, another important vision is to let PDSs to be linked to each other with labels like I know him, she's my friend, he's my son, or I'm an employee of Fujitsu. And enforce access control in accordance with the links and relationship. Just like Facebook, you can share your picture with friends or family or whatever in a decentralized manner. Hang on. Yeah. And I think I need to scroll. And also, hang on. Okay. By this, it enables passive data subject. If you can configure any PDS to totally delegate the access control to some linked other PDS. And we also believe the value of the power of open network, as Dr. Saros presented yesterday. So we are trying to. Okay. Anyway, let me see. The architecture. Okay. In order to give shape to these visions, Personia has an architecture like this. First, all functionalities are implemented as a RESTful APIs. And the reason, as given, no platform, no language cannot speak HTTP. That's the reason. And we define 3 layers of our objects: unit, cell, and box. Cell is the PDS. Everything stored. And cell, okay. The reason why, let me see. And unit is a server to host lots of cells. What you get by software installation is a unit. You can host as many PDSs as possible as the resource allows. And the biggest feature of unit is the fact you can link between beyond units. So the reason is, okay, there are 7 billion of people on the earth, and I said very ambitious thing. I want to let this store, everybody's data store. So I don't think only our company can achieve it. We need open innovation model one server may be stored in and run in Finland, one server may be in Japan by NEC, Fujitsu, whatever company can host a server and can be connected to each other. Okay. And another box is a application private. Sorry, I just Latin, so please read. And little close. Okay. Okay, security is all SSL and authorization and also access control, everything is here. And okay, this box part, okay, is okay. This
Is this your last slide or?
okay. もうちょっとありますけど飛ばしてます。Okay. It supports open standards, web app, and all files, and all data for relational data. I think by supporting these two standards, it can store data high score, data of the game high score, or medical record, whatever. Okay. And track records of person. Now this is not a laboratory level thing. It's in production actually. Now this is one Fujitsu SaaS service, another service. These are running on top of this persona. It's running 365 things. Okay, and we also developed this kind of tool.
I think you want to take many good questions, so I want to wrap it up.
And one minute. Okay. What's done, what's not yet done. We have track records, but this is we have only achieved closed ecosystem yet. And our goal is to make an open ecosystem. That's the objective of the social implementation together with Ishigaki-san. So we need to do a lot of things. Let me skip. The message I want to really convey you is let's make it happen together. Please watch us sometimes. It's still on the way. But please, if you like, try using it. And if you like, participate in development or whatever discussion. So let's make it happen together. That's it. Thank you.
So because you're over time, I'm asking you a very mean question.
Okay.
How do you think that Personium can do better than Google and Facebook?
Google and Facebook. Okay. They are strong. So we need to, but they have lots of enemies, especially maybe in Europe, maybe. Many people, I'm thinking about forming, it's a bad word, but losers alliance, rebellion, maybe better word. Maybe we can work together. That's the strongest part.
And what is the status of Personium? Is it in production?
Yes, it's in a sense in production because it's running. We are earning money actually from lots of hospitals. Our users are making money, so we have a lot of responsibilities. So, in a sense, it has a production level quality, but we haven't approved it can be worked as to form open access system yet. So in that sense, it's still on the way.
And how many people participate in this Tokyo project? And that's the last question.
We think we hope more than 1,000, but it's only plan. I don't know how many in next year was. Next year.
Okay, we got to see. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
From Japanese, then is Professor Shibasaki.
Hi everyone, I'm Shibasaki from the University of Tokyo, and I myself am Professor Hideki Sunahara, just back inside. Anyway, we are learning a kind of, let's say, information bank of software. But actually what I'm going to talk about is something what's happening. Yes. A kind of jam. From where to where? Actually, the current situation, the personal data, actually, for people, sometimes causes is a kind of source of stress or kind of, let's say, sometimes uncontrollable, anyway, a kind of risks. Yeah, of course, there is some sort of the exaggeration. But anyway, in the future, actually, we expect that the MyData will anyway, improve or mitigate some of the problems, because the personal information of me will be under my control, and it may create a lot of benefits through that kind of diverse applications. And actually, in order to accelerate such kind of jumps, anyway, we are doing a lot of things. What we believe important is, for example, development of some sort of the software, like a decentralized PDFs, or kind of very secure data management, and some sort of the legal framework. And also we may show many use cases so that everyone can understand the benefits. And actually, those efforts may be regarded as a kind of safety net, and also a kind of license to get to the data by the right of the data portability or whatever. And also we may show something. Anyway, if you handle your data, you get such kind of benefits. And also, actually, we may provide some kind of, let's say, facilitate very high-tech or something like AI-based anyway, kind of recommendation or service creation mechanism or something like this. Actually, you may wonder what that is. Actually, that is called a kind of takeoff or bamboo. Yeah? And that is very famous among the Japanese. It anyway helps you fly very quickly. Anyway, let me go back. So actually, they are very fantastic. However, they are just enablers. If the people don't want to do, nothing will happen. Actually, yesterday, I'm really surprised to hear a kind of, let's say, comments from the people from AXA insurance company. They are actually ready to get your data back, but they don't receive almost no requests from their customers. Actually, yeah, of course, it's a lack of a kind of advertisement or whatever, but many people are not aware of a kind of value of your data or my data, and sometimes they may feel some kind of, let's say, risks. If I'm responsible for the management of my data, so then whether I'm not quite sure whether we can actually make the kind of very secure data management anyway or not. So then it's very necessary to motivate more people for such kind of job. So then, actually, again, I go back to a kind of computer games, Pokemon Go. Actually, it's already available here. And you may see that a lot of people are addicted. According to the CNN report rather recently, this year, addiction actually is accelerated by autonomy, belonging, or relatedness, and community engagement, and also the confidence. And actually, this guy make a kind of explanation about this. So actually, as long as I consult with Google Scholar, those ABC is now very widely accepted among the psychologists in your community. Probably that is rather scientifically sound concepts. So then how about borrowing such kind of ABC to accelerate a kind of jump? But before that, one more thing might be necessary. That is a kind of simple image of what MyData will do for you. Because when we look at the Pokemon, for example, very hard about Pokemon, probably you can very easily, let's say, recognize or understand what kind of experiences you will have by playing with Pokemon. I hope you know about Pokemon. But anyway, in the other words, actually, my data is a little bit ambiguous. For example, when we have a diverse my data, probably we can receive, enjoy a different kind of applications. Education, mobility, energy, or anyway, whatever. But the one drawback is, for example, for some sort of the users that receive the education services, the my data just looks like a kind of education support system or mobility support system. And those individual services are already available without the concept of my data. So probably it may be necessary, I believe, that we need to, let's say, bundle those diverse services under some specific name, something like, in this case, we use a kind of bank. Because bank is very trustworthy, and also it could be a kind of mediator. The mediator means a kind of matchmaker, because there are a lot of service providers that use your data, and you may choose anyway some of them in order to fill your the demand. And also, actually, the bank is just a kind of metaphor. So there should be a different kind of, or a lot of degree of freedom in organization actual design. It might be a very traditional one, but at the same time, of course, the bank, because that is a mediator, so actually it could be actually more modern, software-oriented, structures, like a decentralized PDS or whatever. And then we can go back to ABC. So under such kind of ABC context, let me talk about what we are doing. For autonomy, the message I would like to convey is, you are very rich, and you are the person who know yourself best in terms of a kind of data. To do so, actually we developed ATM of the information bank. Actually, everyone actually have already a kind of account because you use Facebook or Google or such kind of services. When you actually open or access a kind of ATM, you are requested to choose the services you have ever used and click OK. So then you could see a list of data about you. Something like this. Unfortunately, this is in Japanese, but actually, Professor Sunahara's laboratory examined the terms of agreement very carefully and make a list of the data that are collected when you click. So then, probably you can recognize that you are very rich, and by looking at such kind of data, you are the only person who can make a legal access to all of those data. So probably you are a person who knows about yourself the best. Anyway. And for the belonging, so relatedness, the engagement of the real user and also a community is important. Of course, there is a lot of different kinds of communities. So at this moment, we are working with a community of mountain climbers and local a kind of governance. Because Nagano Prefecture, one of the local governments, which has a kind of Japan Alps, the death of climbers is more than that of traffic accidents. So the police is so much concerned about how to reduce the number of the traffic accidents of the mountain climbing. And also, among the middle and the elderly aged people, the climbers are now increasing, but they don't have so much knowledge and also experiences. And also, climbing has a lot of risks, and many of the risk factors could be mitigated by good provision of the data for plan preparations and actions. And also, as you can easily see, that many of the data could be nowadays more easily collected, backed by different economic operators or vendors. So actually what we are doing with the Nagano Prefecture or local governments, launch a kind of information bank concept to collect all the data to provide, to help service providers to provide such kind of services. Actually, what we have started is this August, because August 11. Anyway, this year, amazingly, the Japanese government launched a new national holiday that is called Mountain Day. So anyway, in that inauguration, that Mountain Day, we launched some kind of system to invite the, let's say, input of their plan of the mountain climbing, and also such kind of information could be, let's say, used by the police when, let's say, there is something wrong or some kind of accident may happen to those anyway. So anyway, these are some, again, unfortunately, anyway, what I want to show is that we implemented our ideas. And the final one is competence. It's much more diverse. And also actually supporting the mountain climbers includes such kind of aspects. And we are doing kind of, anyway, with some communities of the healthcare and so on, but anyway, probably next year we'll talk about something more about this. But for example, when you look at the Pokemon Go, I heard from someone that the playlog of the Pokemon Go could be downloaded. So if so, the playlog could be actually sent to the information bank, and then you may actually ask a personal trainer to train you for a better score, and also you can be much more competent with the others. And also you may get some kind of points rewarding by visiting some specific, let's say, shopping malls by showing your, let's say, playlogs. It's something like a Pokemon Go economic, let's say, system or kind of ecosystem. Okay. So anyway, the information bank. Anyway, bank concept could be a good metaphor to accelerate the concept of MyData. Although